Hello, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you. Welcome to our 10th video on the role our government can play in revolutionizing Nigeria. The title of this video is Step 5, the Whistleblowing Policy. In the previous videos, I explained 4 out of the 8 steps to be taken by the government in order to have absolute control over the citizens, with the main objective to eliminate crimes in the country, eradicate poverty and unemployment, and step the country on her way to sustainable development. In this video, God willing, I will discuss the 5th step, which is the creation of a whistleblowing policy. While all the previous steps I discussed in the previous videos are proactive in nature, this policy is both proactive and reactive in nature. It is proactive because it will help in preventing corrupt and criminal practices to be happening. This is because when someone knows that by doing XYZ, he or she will be reported, then he or she will be discouraged from doing it. It is also reactive in nature because it will be used to be fishing out offenders for them to be punished. Under this policy, the federal government is expected to create a window whereby people will be able to report any case of corruption, crime, offense, or any observed irregularity. For example, consider a government official whose monthly salary is not more than 100,000, but he was seen building a house worth 10 million or buying a car worth 2.5 million. Definitely, this is questionable. Therefore, there is need for this person to be reported, so he or she may explain the source of that money. It is now the responsibility of the people in his or her neighborhood to report him or her to the government through this window. The relevant authority will then call him or her and investigate his or her source of money he or she used to build that house, buy that car, or any other thing. Similarly, if someone is working in an office and he or she noticed one of his or her colleagues or number of his colleagues involving in a corrupt deal, it is his or her responsibility to report them to the government through this window, while the relevant authorities will do the needful. This is how every corrupt or criminal activity will be reported, such as inflation of contract figures, creation of fictitious contracts, murder, rape, bribery, breaking of law and order, engagement in riots, and those other things like baby factory, ritual activities, etc. All this can be reported to the government, which, if not through this window, they may go unnoticed. The government is expected to put a reward for any case reported, which, after a thorough investigation, is found to be true. This is how every corrupt or criminal activity will be reported, such as inflation of contract figures, creation of fictitious contracts, murder, rape, bribery, breaking of law and order, engagement in riots, and those other things like baby factory, ritual activities, etc. All this can be reported, which, if not through this window, they may go unnoticed. The government is expected to put a reward for any case reported, which, after thorough investigation, is found to be true. No matter small the reward will be, it will encourage people to be reporting these cases. The only important factors when it comes to whistleblowing policy are 3. These are: number 1, people should endeavor to report any corrupt, criminal, or any suspicious engagement they saw, witnessed, or noticed. Number 2, the relevant government agency that's supposed to handle the case must do the needful until the perpetrators pay the price for their action. Number 3, the government must ensure that she rewards anybody who reports any genuine case and make it confidential by hiding the identities of those who report the cases. With the above 3 factors duly complied with, the success of this policy is guaranteed, while failure of any of the 3 may hinder its success. Importance of this policy. This policy, as I mentioned above, is expected to expose some offenses and crimes that all the previous policies might not expose or stop or prevent. Take for example the case of bribery. Since people knew that their accounts might be audited, and whenever they collected a bribe from someone, they might be exposed, they may decide to be collecting the bribe through other people, such as some of their family members and or friends, after which they will now collect the proceed, either in cash or in kind. But with this policy of whistleblowing in place, these corrupt officials will definitely be exposed, because one day someone must report them. In fact, the federal government may decide to reward he or she who reports the case, even if he or she is the one who gave the bribe. You will find out that someone who gave the bribe unwillingly will be very happy and eager to report the case, so the culprit will pay the price of his or her action. This will make people to be afraid of collecting bribes, which is the desired result. The same thing goes with collecting gratifications in the office. The policy will allow anybody who witnessed this officer collecting this gratification to report him or her, if he or she is punished accordingly. This will make other people to shun collection of gratifications, because they are afraid that they might be reported. If the government makes it a policy that both the giver and receiver of bribes or gratifications will receive the same punishment, this will make people to shun giving bribes and gratifications, because whenever the receiver is reported, the accounts through which he or she received the bribe or gratification will be audited, and any person that gave him or her bribe or gratification through that account will be exposed. Whistleblowing policy will expose a lot of cases, both monetary and non-monetary. Consider, for example, the case of a lecturer passing a failing student for subjective reasons. Whenever he or she is reported that he or she passed a student who does not deserve to pass for subjective reasons, then the Ministry of Education will investigate the case, and if found guilty, he or she will be sanctioned accordingly. This will make lecturers to be very careful in passing or failing students for subjective reasons. The reason why they are doing that is because nobody cares to report them, and if they are reported, nothing happens to them. But if people are there to follow up and ensure that something is done, then definitely this case will reduce significantly. Another case this policy might expose is a situation whereby someone is working in a place and he or she is entrusted with some items, but he or she is stealing those items and using the proceeds for his personal use. Once noticed by someone, that person will report him or her, and the relevant authority should study all evidences that can prove him or her to be guilty of committing that offense. If there are not enough evidences to prove this case, some methods I will explain below what will help in exposing him or her. Ways to prove a culprit guilty of committing the offense. When a financial case is reported, such as someone collecting bribe or notification, through other people's accounts, and there are no enough evidences to prove the case. For example, the account number through which he or she is collecting the money is not known, and there are no witnesses. Then there are some ways the culprit might be proved guilty of that offense. Some of these includes: 1. People living above their means. When someone does not have any means of income other than his or her monthly salary, and that person is found living above his or her income by buying vehicles his or her salary could not buy for him or her, building houses his or her salary could not build for him or her, or doing any other thing above his or her financial capability, then this is a strong evidence that he or she is really guilty of that offense. In this case, such a person should be invited for interrogation to explain his or her source of money used in buying those things. If he or she could not give any convincing evidence that he or she acquired those items through legal means, then he or she should be sanctioned accordingly. Number 2, culprit not spending from his or her account. Similar to the above, a culprit might be confirmed guilty of committing this offense by monitoring his or her bank account. Consider a man who has one wife and 2 children, but he is not found to be buying rice, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, Maggi, etc. on a regular basis from his bank account. This is a strong evidence that he or she is using another account to buy those items, or he or she is getting them from a suspicious source. Also, if he or she is found to be spending far less than he or she is supposed to be spending, then he should be considered guilty of this offense. Number 3, multiple reports on same individual. When multiple reports are received on same individual from multiple number of people at multiple number of times, then this is another strong evidence that that culprit is guilty of committing that offense. The case will be stronger if the people reporting the case do not have any relationship that may warrant that they connived in order to convict or indict him or her. Number 4, strict monitoring and integrity test. When someone is reported to have been committing an offense and there are no enough evidences to prove this case, then the company or organization he or she is working should take necessary steps to be monitoring his or her action. Also, integrity test can be done against such a person after a while. For example, assuming the culprit is accused of collecting bribe, his or her superior might test him or her by sending someone to give him or her bribe in a way he or she will not understand that he or she is under test. This test should be repeated for a number of times. If he or she passed the test in all this number of times, then it is enough as evidence that he or she is not guilty of that offense. However, if he or she collects it in one of the tests, then this is a strong case that he or she is guilty of that offense. Number 5, use of cameras. Whenever it is possible, CCTV cameras must be used to monitor the activities of workers in their places of work. Also, if possible, someone should be appointed to be monitoring that camera for a sizable number of people he or she can monitor. But if this is not possible due to financial constraints, whenever an officer is reported, the CCTV camera should be checked for that particular moment in order to prove the case. This, in brief, is how this policy will help in eradicating corruption and other crimes in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. If your dream is to wake up and see a new Nigeria, free from corruption, crimes, joblessness, and poverty, then join us at Naija Digital Revolution and contribute your quota by sharing this and other related videos, liking us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. All these are ways to encourage and support us to achieve this objective. You are also required to register with us in order to form a strong union for the eradication of corruption, crimes, as well as other negative characters and attitudes from among us by clicking on this link, which you can find below, or visiting the homepage of our website, sites.google.com/site/Naija Digital Revolution/home and clicking on the red link. In order to find us on the social media, just search for Naija Digital Revolution on Google, YouTube, or Facebook. We are also Twitter and Instagram. You can watch our videos, listen to our audios, or read our articles from our website or any of the above mediums. You can also contact us by sending us WhatsApp or Telegram messages through our Airtel line number 090-1255-8425. Please don't call or send text messages. Once again, thank you for listening. May God help us